Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this virtual meeting of the Executive of Allerdale Borough Council. My name is Gail Roach and I'm the Democratic Services Manager, and for the purpose of this afternoon's meeting, I'm also the host assisting with the technology. We are currently live on YouTube and a recording will be made available on the Council's website following the meeting. Shortly, I'll hand you over to the Chair to start the meeting, but first we'll do some introductions. Can I ask all attendees please to introduce themselves, and we'll start with the members. Councillor Cook.
Hi, good afternoon. Councillor John Cook, portfolio holder for leisure and tourism.
Councillor Fitzgerald.
Good afternoon. I'm Marion Fitzgerald, portfolio holder for policy and people's resources and also deputy leader of the council.
Councillor Johnson.
Good afternoon. Councillor Mike Johnson, leader of the council.
Councillor Lister.
Good afternoon, Councillor Lister, responsible for finance and legal.
Councillor Markley.
Good afternoon, Councillor Tony Markley, responsibility of the portfolio for environment services.
And Councillor Pitcher.
Good afternoon, Councillor Alan Pitcher, portfolio holder for customer experience and innovation.
Thank you. Now the officers, please. Catherine Nicholson.
Good afternoon, Catherine Nicholson, Chief Officer for Assets and Section 151 Officer.
Paul Wood.
Good afternoon, Paul Wood, Programme Director, Transformation and Operating Model.
Nick Hardy.
Good afternoon, I'm Nick Hardy, I'm the Assistant Chief Executive for Policy, Performance and Economic Strategy.
Brendan Carlin.
Good afternoon, I'm Brendan Carlin, I'm the Assistant Chief Executive for Innovation and Commercial, and I'm also the Deputy Monitoring Officer.
Kevin Kerrigan.
Good afternoon, Kevin Kerrigan, Programme Director for Workington.
And Graham Wilson.
Good afternoon, Graham Wilson, Programme Director for Maryport.
Thank you for your introductions. Can I please remind everyone to keep yourselves on mute throughout the meeting unless you intend to speak. If you wish to speak, please can you indicate to the Chair by using your raised hand icon. Thank you very much. I will now hand you over to the Chair to formally start the meeting. Councillor Johnson, thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the executive meeting today, Wednesday, the 21st of April, 2021. As previously stated, my name is Councillor Mike Johnson and I am the Chair. You've been introduced to the members and officers in attendance today, so now moving on to the agenda. Item 1, the minutes. To agree as correct record the minutes of the meeting held on the 24th of March 2021, I will assume that all members are in agreement with the minutes unless they use the raise hand function to indicate that they wish to speak. Can members please indicate now? Thank you. The minutes are approved. Item 2, apologies for absence. Gail, do we have any apologies, please?
No apologies today, Chair. All the members are present.
Thank you. Item 3, declaration of interests. Can attendees please use the raise hand function to indicate if you wish to make a declaration? If it becomes apparent during consideration of any of the items that you may have an interest, please declare it at that point. Councillor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to declare an interest in item 9 as I'm a member of the shareholder committee for Allerdale Waste Services.
Marion, I'll also have the same as I'm the chair of that board. Thank you.
Thanks, members. Just for a point of clarification, that is not a pecuniary interest.
I was going to declare, but I needn't, Mike, now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brendan. Item 4, questions. Do we have any questions, please?
No questions have been received, Chair.
Thank you, Gail. Item 5, members' announcements. Do any of the executive members have any announcements? Moving on then. Item 6, Social Impact Investment Fund. This is one for me to introduce. So once again, I would like to thank Sellafield for the annual investment they provide to the council and to the wider area. In 2021-22, we will use this funding to support our economy and our communities. We will use it to maximise the resources available to us from the Future High Streets Fund and the Stronger Towns Fund, ensuring that these major regeneration programmes will have a long-lasting positive impact on Maryport and Workington. We are also allocating resources to support the delivery of our new economic strategy, which will come before this executive next month. Our council strategy outlines the importance we place on ensuring that all of our towns and villages benefit from a thriving local economy. It's important that we give ourselves the best chance of creating an environment that supports our economic recovery and lays the foundations for future economic growth. With our major regeneration programmes and new economic strategy working hand in hand, I hope that we can create a prosperous economic future that will benefit everyone. This year, we will also see funding targeted at the delivery of our newly adopted Resilient Communities strategy. As we look to move on from the pandemic, it's vital that we build on this amazing work that has taken place in our communities by a wide variety of community groups. This important work must be continued, and we, as an authority, have a role to play in ensuring this happens. Finally, we are looking to support sports development again this year, as in previous years, recognise the importance that sporting clubs play in mental health and physical health of our communities. We have therefore allocated resources to supporting grassroots sporting clubs with the aim of increasing participation across Allerdale. When all of this activity is combined, it will unlock development, funding and activity that will have significant benefits for the residents of Allerdale. Our ambitious council strategy seeks to improve our residents' communities and economic futures. By using the funding in this way, I believe that we'll be helping to lay the foundations for a strong and sustainable future. I would therefore like to move the recommendation as laid out in paragraph 4.3 of the report. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Fitzgerald, thank you.
I'm happy to second it, Chair, and in doing so, I'd like to say what a privilege it is to be able to make these recommendations to help build on the resilient communities, because it's been such a difficult year for everybody, and we are in a very privileged position to be able to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. For the vote, I will assume that all members are in agreement with the motion unless they use the raise hand function to indicate that they wish to speak. Please indicate now. There's no indications, so the motion is approved. Thank you. Moving on to item 7, hybrid mail procurement. Again, this is another one for me. So, since 2017, the council has utilised a hybrid mail solution where documents and correspondence are sent electronically to a contracted partner organisation, which then prints in bulk on our behalf and safely posts on the final address, onto the final address. The effect is to reduce the costs associated with posting mail, such as paper, ink, envelopes and staff time, whilst also offering a more secure and efficient way of delivering mail. The use of hybrid mail sits alongside increased use of email and electronic communication as part of the council's transformation programme, which aims to reduce costs to ensure the council's financial security and to contribute to reducing our carbon footprint in line with the strategic objectives of our council strategy 2020 to 2030. Since the adoption of the hybrid mail in 2017, the council has sent over 425,000 documents in this way at almost 1,140,000 pages. Letting a further contract for hybrid mail services will create opportunities for even more departments within the council to benefit from services as we roll it out across the entire organisation and create efficiencies through additional savings in officer time and reducing the need for traditional printing and postage. The need to send routine and large volume mail through hybrid has been even more important since COVID-19 restrictions were introduced in March 2020. Requiring officers to work from home While we hope for it to be introduced in March 2020, requiring a speedy recovery, we anticipate that some restrictions are likely to continue for some time. Yet, hybrid mail is perfectly suited to our proposed future flexible working arrangements. As the current contract is coming to an end, officers conducted detailed research into unavailable solutions, carried out market engagement with 15 potential suppliers via our online procurement portal, surveyed staff across the organisation, and ultimately undertook a robust procurement process and direct call-off via the YPO framework, which is run in partnership with the Crown Commercial Services. I therefore move the recommendation to award the contract as per the report. Do I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that if I can, please, Mike, and totally agree. We need to keep pushing forward with the technology as we find it.
Thank you, Councillor Pitcher. So, for the vote, I will assume that all members are in agreement with the motion unless they indicate that they wish to speak. Please indicate now. There were no indications. The motion is approved. Item 8, new contract for regulatory service and built environment applications. Again, this one is mine. It's like the Mike Johnson show today. So since 2017, the council has contracted with Arcus Global Services, a cloud-based system that allows us to bring together data from multiple business systems into a single platform, increasing efficiency and productivity, enabling easy decision-making and improvement to the working experience for officers and our customers in areas such as planning, environmental health, building control, licensing, and local land charges. The decision to move to cloud-based systems is part of our ongoing transformation programme to implement improved digital technology, more efficient work processes, reduce the costs of running multiple systems, and enable customer self-service. This all contributes to improving the quality of services we offer to our customers and achieving financial security for the council in line with the strategic objectives of our council strategy 2020 to 2030. We remain committed to achieving these outcomes. It has been a long and complex process to extract and migrate data from legacy systems, meaning that progress to date has been slower than we would have liked. But by awarding this contract, we are confident that we can deliver these improvements across regulatory services. After appraising the options, officers devised a robust procurement process using the G-Cloud framework, which is the largest supplier of cloud-based services and is operated by Crown Commercial Services. The specification, shortlisting, evaluation and selection processes were conducted in accordance with the framework process. The selected supplier meets our service requirements and the procurement represents best value to the council. I therefore move the recommendation to award the contract as per the report. Can I please have a seconder?
I'm happy to second that, Chair.
Most certainly can. Councillor Markley, thank you for that. I will assume all members are in agreement with the motion unless they indicate that they wish to speak. Please indicate now. There were no indications. The motion is approved. Moving on to item 9, Hackney Carriage and private hire vehicle tests. Councillor Lister, please.
Good afternoon. This report recommends that the executive agrees to appoint Allerdale Waste Services Limited as the council's contractor for taxi testing. All Hackney carriage and private hire vehicles must pass a test which is carried out by the council's approved testing station as part of the licensing requirements. This test ensures that each vehicle is of MOT standard and examines the mechanical condition of a vehicle, its bodywork and its interior condition. It ensures that all conditions stipulated by the council are complied with. The council has considered all the options available to it in respect of the provision of a taxi testing facility when the current contract comes to an end. Advice was sought as to whether an option for the council was the use of the Teagle exemption contained in Regulation 12 of the Public Contracts Regulation 2015. This exemption allows a contract to be directly awarded without a public procurement activity, provided that the organisation to whom the contract is awarded falls within Regulation 12 requirements. The advice confirmed that AWSL does fit the Teagle exemption, and therefore the contract can be directly awarded. The strategic vision of the council is that AWSL will have a number of different trading arms to ensure sustainability. AWSL is accredited with providing the MOT testing facility and has the appropriate personnel and facilities to carry out the service. Should the executive decide to award the contract directly to AWSL, the licensing team will work closely with them to ensure that high standards of service are maintained. The service will be performance managed and reviewed regularly in line with contractual obligations around the key performance indicators. And therefore I move the recommendation. Thank you. Would somebody like to second that for me?
Thank you, Councillor John Cook. Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to second that motion, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cook. For the vote, I will assume that all members are in agreement with the motion unless they indicate that they wish to speak. Please indicate now. There were no indications. The motion is approved. Moving on to item 10, action plan to address climate change update. Councillor Fitzgerald, please.
Thank you, Chair. Subject of climate change currently has a national and international prominence, and there is clearly a strong interest locally from a number of groups and individuals in the activities that the Council will pursue to lessen the impact of climate change. Last year, on March the 4th, at a full Council meeting, it was agreed that a climate change group would be established to develop the action plan and to work on its implementation. Some aspects of the findings and recommendations agreed by Council on the 4th of March last year are yet to be developed as a consequence of the disrupted working arrangements of the last 12 months due to COVID-19. However, the cross-party climate change group has worked tirelessly since its first meeting last summer with excellent officer support and the very able chairmanship of Councillor Sally Lansbury to bring this action plan before you today. Central government has a series of programmes coming online to support local authorities in addressing the implementation of changes needed to meet its targets. This council will need to be prepared to access these funds over the coming months and years, and the action plan will put us in a good position to do exactly that. Our priorities and objectives will already be clearly articulated. The action plan is broadly, but not specifically, grouped into the headers proposed in the Blueprint for Accelerating Climate Action and a Green Recovery at Local Level. This is a much respected document and the result of contributions from many local councils and also the Local Government Association. As you can see from your agenda, the proposed priorities are growing the zero and low carbon economy, retrofitting homes and buildings to reduce consumption and emissions, decarbonising transport, planning to deliver zero carbon development that protects and enhances nature, reducing waste and encouraging sustainable consumption, restoring nature for all, and developing local authority funding, governance and accounting systems that are fit for purpose. As I think you'll agree, these themes fit very well with the Council strategy for 2020 to 2030, especially when you consider core principles such as a cleaner, greener Allerdale and thriving towns and villages and resilient communities. The same themes also accord well with the Cumbria Joint Public Health and Wellbeing Strategy 2019 to 2029, because of course the restoration and protection of the natural environment has much to do with mental well-being, and I think that this is something about which our appreciation has grown over the last year. With reference to the 7th heading, developing local authority funding, governance and accounting systems that are fit for purpose, this has to do with, amongst other things, procurement policies and the Council's partners in carrying out services. The Climate Change Group is very clear that the Council can only be responsible for its own actions and activities, and many improvements will need to be achieved through influence and partnership. However, it has been calculated that whereas local authorities may only be responsible for 3 to 4% of carbon emissions, they may nevertheless be in a position to influence between 30 to 40% working with partners. So it's important to seize this opportunity and to lead by example wherever possible. Before coming to you today, the draft plan was published on the Council's website and comments were invited. There was a very good level of response, as you can see from the list on page 44 of your agenda. Local groups with an interest in particular parts of the action plan were also invited to a virtual meeting to discuss the plan. The groups who attended included Climate Emergency West Cumbria, Keswick Town Council, the Lake District National Park Authority, Sustainable Keswick, TWIG, which is Trees for Wigton, and the Zero Carbon Cumbria Partnership. The action plan is intended to be a live and responsive document. Therefore, it will not be practical to bring every change to executive for formal approval. The group proposes that minor changes are agreed by the group and the portfolio holder, and the portfolio holder will continue to keep executive updated. Further, that a refreshed action plan is presented annually to executive alongside a progress update. Major changes to the plan, such as the inclusion of a major new project or area of work, or the addition of a plan section, will be submitted to the executive for approval. As mentioned earlier, the action plan has been developed across political parties within the council. Each section is led by different council members according to their own areas of knowledge and special interest, who will work as task groups reporting back to the Climate Change Group. The work is supported and delivered by relevant senior managers and lead officers across all departments. The action plan is a live document and it will develop over time. The structure is created to enable new actions to be easily added to the numbering system. Completed actions will remain included in the published plan and will be noted as completed. Further direction from central government is required to carry out detailed appraisals of baseline data and data collection guidelines. Apparently, the 6th carbon budget goes before Parliament today as we speak. Some of our actions and targets will change in line with the bills currently going through Parliament. These are the Environment Bill, the Decarbonisation and Economic Strategy Bill, and the Climate and Ecology Bill. Added to these, the Glasgow COP26 in November this year will bring new ambitions, which will be reflected in future revisions of the action plan. In order to be carbon neutral, we need to embed climate actions across all functions, policies and aspects of our work. With that in mind, we can expect to see carbon literacy training for members and officers rolled out in due course, a carbon audit of the Council's properties and activities, as well as the development of the stakeholder engagement strategy. That is the route to success, and it's the reason why I'm so pleased that we took the action to plan what is such an enormous task in a measured and deliverable way, rather than hastily agreeing a motion at full council without taking any real responsibility for its delivery. I'm therefore very pleased to move that the executive approves the updated action plan to address climate change as presented at Appendix A, and that executive also approves that minor changes can be agreed by the Climate Change Group in consultation with the portfolio holder before the next annual update. any major changes will be submitted to Executive for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fitzgerald, and I'll happily second that motion. And I'm pleased to be able to lend my support to this updated climate change action plan. I know that the cross-party group of councillors have worked incredibly hard and have consulted extensively to bring some structure and common sense to a hugely complex policy area. The implementation of this plan will require a whole council effort. Members, officers and stakeholders will need to work collaboratively in order to bring out the actions contained within it. These actions will also make a significant contribution to other areas of our council strategy, as we look, for example, to take advantage of opportunities in the renewable energy sector as part of our new economic strategy. The scale of the challenge is significant, but I'm sure given the breadth and experience of the climate change group that we will make some real progress in the area over the coming 12 months. So thank you for that, Councillor Fitzgerald. For the vote, I will assume that all members are in agreement with the motion unless they indicate that they wish to speak. Please indicate now. There were no indications. The motion is approved. That brings us to the end of the agenda items for this afternoon's meeting. So thank you for your attendance. The next meeting of the Executive will be 4 p.m. on Wednesday, the 12th of May, 2021. I now close this meeting. Thank you.